Welcome back, everybody. This is Common Ground. My name is Chris. That's Josh. As we promised, we're back again for another week of some political discussion. We got a hot topic this week, and we have a lot to talk about. Our time's valuable. We know yours is as well, and we're going to get into it in a couple seconds here. But our mission with our show is basically, in our mind, it's to go back to the mentality we had on 9/12/2001, when there was no division. In my opinion, we had no race, we had no this, we had no that. There was no Democrat, no Republican. We were just all Americans. And we don't feel like we're there right now. So that's our vision moving forward. That being said, Josh, we have a topic we want to discuss today. You want to lead us into that?
Yeah, man. I mean, the thing that is on the news, it's just taken over everywhere you look. Twitter, Facebook, everywhere is just talking about the Tucker tapes that just came out. So he released the unseen footage. He had access, or they had given him access to 40,000 hours of footage from the January 6th attack. So, we decided what better subject to start off this week than that. Obviously, me and Chris aren't going to agree on everything from that day, but we decided to tackle it. I mean, it's in the news. This is what this show is about. I think we should definitely head off with the January 6th and the Tucker tapes.
I completely agree. And, just for everybody that's tuning back in, welcome back. We appreciate everybody we got last year. Last week. We did get a little bit of attention, albeit small, but so we're hoping to push forward with that and gather some more attention this week. So, and we will disagree on some things, but our ultimate goal here is to find common ground between me as a Republican and Josh as a Democrat.
And both of us as Americans. So we have to live here. We have to try to make it work. So that's why we did the show. So
yes, sir.
Let's get right to it. What do you think about the Tucker tapes here that he released, Chris?
Well, I was shocked. I think the Democrats got caught with their pants down here a little bit. Got their hand in the cookie jar. So now it's our turn to get a little bit of the truth. Regardless of the vessel that we got it through, Tucker Carlson, I know he's going to be an issue for people. I don't care where we got the information from. I don't care if it came from Fox or CNN. They're all two eyebrows on the same ugly face. But we have information now. We can't dispute the video. We can disagree on it and in various different ways. We can dispute him a little bit. Tucker Carlson's really irrelevant to me. I want the facts. I want the news. And I think we deserve that as Americans. And now we have a little snippet of what, mind you, the media wants us to see. Keep in mind, 40-some thousand hours of video. And for the last 2 years, we've been watching the same thing over and over and over from the left. And now we're probably going to watch the same thing over and over and over from the right. And out of all these hours of video, keep in mind, it's very important to know that we're going to get what the media wants us to see on either side. And I was pretty shocked about what I saw. I don't think it was quite what we've been led to believe for the last 2 years.
Okay. Me personally,
you want to start with the shaman or something? Where do you want to start?
Yeah. We can run down the list here. So Tucker did he had released 4 videos of the extended videos. Now, just as Chris said, there's 40,000 hours of video. So Tucker was given over 40,000 hours of video. What he released amounted to about 10 minutes. So it's not adding much. There's not. I didn't see any new revelations. I didn't see anything that's completely going to upend the truth about that day. Let's start with the QAnon shaman that they call him. Chauncey, Mr. Chauncey, I believe is his name. Chansley.
Yeah, Jacob Chansley. I found he had 2 different names. I was finding, but we'll go with Jacob Chansley, or we just keep it simple because everybody knows him as the QAnon shaman.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
So go ahead, Josh.
Yeah. So they just basically they released video. I mean, I'm sure everybody saw the QAnon shaman that day on January 6th. One of the prominent protesters that was there at the Capitol that day, and he made news all throughout. It was mostly how he was dressed. He was just very outlandish with what he was wearing, and it just made him stand out. So he's made news. He captured the news from that day, and Tucker released some extended video of him kind of milling around the Capitol and not committing any crimes. Um, which that's the end of it basically. So he was showing that the officers were showing him around or unlocking doors for him, things like that. Um, yeah, which I don't see that it adds much, and you guys are going to see or hear about quite why. But what do you think about the extended video that he released?
All right. So first thing that comes to mind is, there's some information about him online, and he obviously uh, picked a wardrobe that I thought was a little strange, and he does have a QAnon past. I am not for QAnon. I don't. Even though conspiracies are entertaining and fun, I don't go down that route. I try to keep it with the facts. I enjoy listening to some of them when I have nothing else to do with my life. Conspiracies just don't work with me as far as facts go. So that being said, he was milling around, and there's an argument to be had that the law enforcement was trying to de-escalate the situation with him. I could agree with that to a point, but I would agree with that more if there was 40 or 50 people and they were kind of just taking their time to see how they could de-escalate this the best. He was alone, and there were numerous police officers around him. He was one of the first ones in. He did not break in, to my knowledge. He actually went through a door that someone else kicked in, which I think is disgusting, that we're destroying parts of our Capitol. Completely outraged about a lot of things that happened that day. But he seemed peaceful to me. He did come in. Should he have been in there? That's a debate we can have. But he was, and the video doesn't lie. He could have been taken out relatively quickly, I believe, if law enforcement wanted to. I couldn't find any audio of anything. I don't know if you could. That may have helped, put our cases together a little bit. But from what I saw, I didn't see him being violent. I did see him when he did make it to the House floor. He did say a small prayer for the law enforcement. Is that relevant? Yeah, to me it is relevant because I didn't see him doing anything violently.
And he wasn't charged, just for the record. He was not charged with committing any violence that day. His exact charge was actually interrupting an official meeting of Congress, or interrupting an official uh, or Congress business. But and he pled guilty. By the way, he had a lawyer. He pled guilty. He admitted to what he did. He signed a plea agreement. He admitted that he went in when he knew he shouldn't have been in the Capitol. And in regards to the police and everything that were showing him around, because I know that Fox is making a big thing out of it. We all watched this live. You guys know there wasn't two or three or six or 10 people inside that Capitol. There were thousands, literally thousands of people against, I forget the exact size of the police force, but they were vastly outnumbered. There was no comparison. So the police made a tactical decision to not arrest people inside the Capitol. There's obviously 40,000 hours of footage. There's no need to arrest anyone there. And I believe if the police would have escalated the situation, tried to arrest the shaman, a lot worse things would have happened. My opinion, of course, it may have, nothing may have happened. But I believe they took the right tack with that. Feelings were, or feelings were boiling over. Just the atmosphere was very chaotic and things. So I understand why the police took that approach. I would have liked to see them arrest him right away. You're in the office, you're in the Capitol building. You shouldn't be in there. You're already committing a crime. So I can
I
see
disagree
he
with
was
that.
peaceful during.
I disagree with that. I think we can go into the Capitol building anytime we want. It is our building. I think you go in there respectfully. I don't care if one guy's in there or 3,000 people are in there. All these problems, I wouldn't have had a problem with people being in the Capitol building. They were showing a sign of force. As long as they did it peacefully and they walked through that building peacefully, I got no problem with that. And I certainly don't see it as an insurrection. Did it get out of hand? Yes.
So let me just
But
present this. So if Joe Biden comes this election, he loses the vote. I feel as though he won the vote. So you're telling me I'm allowed to go into the Capitol forcefully, mill around the building, and try to stop the steal per se, and that's fine with you, right? That's what you're presenting.
as long as people are protesting peacefully, I completely support that. Yes, I don't
And,
condone the violence.
okay, so you're saying so they shouldn't have been in the Capitol though. I'm not allowed to force my way in the
Let,
Capitol, right?
let me say this. I have no problem if people are in the Capitol building peacefully. I think it was a poor decision, poor choice based on the events of the day. However, yeah, I mean, we sometimes we have to stand up a little harder than other times, but we have to do that responsibly and act like adults and not a bunch of mutants.
Yeah, man. And this is where we will disagree, and you'll see this throughout the show. And Chris just has his point of views, and I respect it. It's not anything that we have to go at each other for, or take it personal, anything like that. He sees things a certain way. I see things another way. But the whole point behind this is it happened. We have the evidence that's out in front of us. You guys saw some extended releases there, but how do in the future, or how do we move forward? So if this is okay, um, to be expected at every election, I don't think that that's the proper way to head forward with this country. Every election is going to be contested from now on. Everybody's going to say they have evidence of fraud, and mind you, there was hundreds of cases that were filed by hundreds of different lawyers, and none of these lawyers were able to prove an iota of fraud. There were a few instances of voter fraud, individual voters voting twice for uh, I think I've found like 6 cases, 7 cases, and they happen to be all for Trump. They all voted for Trump twice. Or they had a family member that were dead, and they voted in that family member's name. None of these lawyers were able to, lawyers that are paid to be able to find this fraud, and they were paid handsomely, and a lot of lawyers made a lot of money for this, and none of them were able to find fraud. And also, they went through Trump-appointed judges, Trump-appointed appeal judges, and things like that, and nothing came out of it. So if I wanted to protest an election, and I believe there was fraud in the election, there are certain things that, and we have a Justice Department here. There are certain avenues that you have to go through in order to prove this. I don't believe that I have the right just to go march in the Capitol when I feel like it and say, "Hey, my guy didn't win. I'm upset." So that's definitely where we differ.
Yeah, absolutely. We disagree on that. I will say we have the right to protest, and sometimes I think we have the right to protest peacefully a little bit harder than other times. That's my
Okay.
opinion. We have to show force sometimes on our side, on your side, and together as Americans. Simple as
Okay.
that. So all that said, we kind of disagree on that. But let's get back into Tucker here. We're getting a little off track here.
Yeah.
Another
Yeah.
one of his talking points was Brian Sicknick, Officer Sicknick. I have an opinion on this, and I don't think, out of respect for his family, I really don't want to talk about it. I don't think him and his family need to keep reliving this. I don't care what his political affiliation was. The man was there. He did his job, in my opinion. He was also an American, just like the rest of us. Unfortunately, passed away. And I'm not going to sit here and do exactly what the media does and criticize that. And I will say it was bothersome to me that it seems to be a focal point of a lot of media's attention. And let the man rest in peace. Let his family, heal. It's a lifelong ordeal for him. So you're welcome to say whatever you want. I personally, out of respect, I don't want to comment on that part of the story.
Yeah. I think I mean I think it's disgusting on both sides. The medical examiner did his report. It mostly came up inconclusive, so we can't say one way or another. It doesn't benefit anyone to keep rehashing that, and like you said, he has a family. Um, so rest in peace to the officer, and I think we should just go right over that topic and just move on to the next one. We don't want to rehash or have any bad blood between that. That's just there's not enough
Yeah.
evidence, honestly, for one way or the other, for us to
Yeah,
to
and there's plenty to talk about, and I think excluding him is just a sign of, at least here at Common Ground, it's a sign of respect for him and his family.
right.
So on to the next topic. Another focal point is Ray Epps. Ray Epps was someone who we got on video, apparently several times. We're not here to debate. We're not here to go down conspiracy, government plants. Is all that stuff plausible? Probably possible, but it goes down the road of conspiracy, which again we're trying to steer away from that. But basically, Ray Epps was a former military man. He happened to be caught in some of these videos. But we're going to stick with Tucker's video. He basically, there was a lie that was put forth in the video. There's a text message between him and his nephew at a certain time, and he was also caught on video basically lying that he was back in his hotel room when, according to the timestamp on the video, which I believe the timestamps, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, actually came from the J6 committee. They actually timestamped as they were what they were watching.
Right.
And it was a lie on that end. There's not a whole lot of substance here, but we like to divide ourselves. The media wants, my side personally wants to say he was a government plant and all that. I don't know. I doubt.
Have you
I'm not
have you
going to comment
seen
on it because
have you
there's
seen
no
any
proof.
evidence at all towards that he was working for the government or
I,
any evidence at all?
the only thing I will say, with that shaman guy, I didn't see any reason for him to get 4 years in prison for what I saw on video. As far as Ray Epps goes, the only thing that was odd to me about it was he was on some kind of a FBI list, and then there was an article that came out from Revolver News, which I've never even heard of. And after that, shortly after that, he was taken off of this list. That's a little strange to me. And the other strange part was he wasn't prosecuted, and there is video of him telling people, "We need to go in the Capitol. We need to get in there. Go in the Capitol." So there was some strange things going on with him. Was he a government plant and all this stuff? That's just smoke and mirrors, I think, at the moment. The right's going to capitalize on that, and the left is going to capitalize on it because, the right's making conspiracies and stuff. I don't see a lot of substance there. I do think there's some strange points to that. But that being said, I don't see him as the smoking gun for Tucker.
So no, I mean the same thing that I came up with. I didn't see any evidence at all that he's been an informant. In court cases, if you are an informant, they have to file certain paperwork so that the defense also has access to this and they're able to litigate against it. So during the discovery process and any trial, you would figure out who were informants. Even if the government wanted to keep those hidden, they would redact that information or redact the specific name, but you would know that there's an informant. Not one person has come up with one case where Mr. Epps was an informant anywhere. The other point to that Ray Epps thing, he's one person out of that giant crowd that you guys seen. You guys saw it live. Ray Epps himself, I don't get what the big thing about it is. He whispered in one of the protesters' ears. That was the big thing where people are thinking, maybe he told him to attack because that protester then went on to push the line forward. But the FBI interviewed both him and the person that he had whispered in his ear. Apparently, they didn't know each other prior to this, and they had the same story when they were interviewed by the FBI. I know Mr. Epps later on went on the J6 committee, made some false statements there. But in regards to what Tucker put out, the Tucker tapes, insinuating that Mr. Ray Epps was a government plant that was there to kind of move this insurrection along. I mean, tell me. There's thousands of people. There's one Mr. Epps. I didn't see Mr. Epps going along to the whole crowd and telling them, "Hey, let's get riled up." And even if someone does, someone is in my ear telling me to rob a bank, and I further go rob a bank. That's me. That's robbing the bank, not
it. It it's completely possible, but this goes down a path of we can't prove it. We need to go with the facts, and that's part of the problem with the media.
And yeah, there's zero
The
evidence
Fox
to
and
it.
the
So
CNN are going to say two different things, and everyone needs to just go by what you can see with your own eyes. Those are the facts. There is no harm in having your own opinion. Obviously, Josh and I have a difference of opinion on some of this stuff, but if you watch it and you watch the same thing him and I are watching, those are the facts. They can't be disputed. Anything outside of the actual facts, there's really not much to talk about because then it becomes nothing. It becomes a nothing burger.
yeah,
Unless you can see it with your own eyes or hear it with your own ears. The last guy that we got to touch on here real quick that Tucker brought up was, and this one is of interest to me because it's a flat out lie from the left. It was a flat out lie from Liz Cheney and Adam Schiff on the J6 committee. Adam Hawley. Or I'm sorry, not Adam Hawley. Josh Hawley.
Yeah.
For several years, we saw a video of him, and the J6 committee put this one out. Complete and utter lie of him, just a little snippet of him running across the hallway. Now we have the whole video. And in that whole video shows him actually running with, I don't know, what was there, maybe a dozen, 20 other senators or politicians. Doesn't matter. The fact was, he came in at the end of that. And they were all being shuffled across the hallway by the police. I'm sure they have some security protocols and stuff when something happens, and they were enacting, whatever their security is to get our politicians out of the way. Fact is fact. The left, numerous sites, MSNBC, CNN, that he was a coward. He was running, he was wetting his pants and so scared. Turns out it was a complete lie. I have nothing else to say. There's no debate for me. It was a flat out lie.
So he was, so the reason Josh Hawley was singled out is because prior to him going in, he had raised a fist towards the protesters in,
so what?
What's that?
So what?
Oh, no.
So what? He was
showing solidarity to the protesters. He was one of the ones that didn't want to certify the election. He was getting this crowd riled up. The guy that got the crowd riled up is also running and tucking tail when the time mattered. Because if I were to get a crowd riled up, you would see me in the middle of that Senate floor, and nobody's going to take me away. He's a man, right? Why are you running? I don't care if you're running behind 30 other congressmen. There were women there too. You're going to run behind the women. They didn't lie about anything. He ran.
Where would you rather have been though? Would you rather
go sit amongst
running ahead of the women?
No, go sit amongst your people that you just riled up to come into the Capitol. Go entertain those guests that you encouraged to come into the Capitol. That's what he should have done. Why are you running? What are you scared of? It's a peaceful protest. Why are you running? Right?
He didn't incite any violence. He raised his fist, and everybody
in solidarity. He didn't. He refused to certify the election. Under what cause was that?
And for the people that he did that for, there were thousands of people that weren't there to cause problems. We refer back often to the 600-700. There were hundreds of them of people acting poorly. We all agree on that. But he's supporting the people that the Americans that want to see change.
Sure.
And to my knowledge, the politicians have every right to challenge the electoral votes.
I guess we've crossed into new territory.
For a whole other time.
Yeah. We've crossed into new territory when a sitting senator or congressman flat out refuses. I mean, if this were to happen on my side, if a Democrat were to flat out refuse to certify an election, I would be upset. This has nothing to do with the right or that Republicans or that this. One of the things about this country is the peaceful transfer of power from one administration to the next. It's one of the things that makes us great. It's one of the things that keeps the continuity going for this government. If we were to mess that up, that completely changes America and how we do things. We're not a we're not England, and we don't have kings, and we don't want kings. That's why we got away from England. We don't want one person in charge. We want a democracy. You feel as though your side won more votes. I know my side won more votes because we have the proof behind us. You guys weren't able to prove any of that in the case. So my thing is that
and
if I do have a disagreement, and I do believe, there are avenues for me to take. I don't have the right to get riled up, and and I have the right to protest. We all have the right to protest. It's in the First Amendment.
Of course we do. And the fact is, as American citizens, you and I, don't matter our side, we can try to get our politicians to listen. And if we as a country want to say, listen, everybody stop, hold up a minute. There's some things here that don't quite make sense, and can we look into this? I'm all for a peaceful transfer of power. Completely agree with that. However, in some instances, do we have to draw back and say, wait a minute, let's use the constitutional powers that we have and challenge some things if they need challenge. And I saw that there was a necessity to challenge some of the nefarious things that we believed was going on. Again, that's another topic for another day. We'll get to that one.
And for the record,
I don't see the Josh Hawley thing anything but a lie. And that's a fact. Democrats got caught with their hand in the cookie jar lying.
And this is important though.
Not a Democrat.
What did they lie about? That's what I'm wondering.
They lied about him. The video itself is a lie.
Why?
They gave you one little part of the truth. Well, there was a lot more to that truth.
But okay, so
in terms of what was
in the sense of the video, the reason they mentioned him running was because he was one of the ones to not vote to certify the election. So why is it a lie to show him on video running when that's what happened? It's a video.
Even if he didn't vote to even if he didn't want to certify the election, he was running with a group of his colleagues.
Okay, so
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it wasn't just Josh Hawley, but why is it a lie to show that video of him running? Even if I don't include the 30 other people, why is it a lie that they said he ran and they showed a video of him running? Why is that a lie?
It's not a lie at all. We want to see the truth. However, there was a lot more truth to the little snippet. There was a lot more to that. You start taking pieces of that video apart and editing it and giving out what you want us to see on the different sides of the media, and that came from the left. That's a fact.
Right.
You take out pieces of that video, and then it becomes a lie because you're not giving the whole story. Lie by omission, if you want to call it that.
I mean, but in that sense, then, the whole tapes that Tucker just put out were lies by omission because he didn't include none of those people coming into the building. Why not? If they were so peaceful coming into why didn't he include that shot of them? How did they get into I know he showed videos of people milling in a single file line and they all look respectful and saying, yes, sir, and no, ma'am, and P's and Q's. How did they get into, he's got the video of how they broke in. Why isn't he showing that? Is that a lie by omission?
Yeah, in a sense, yes. And that brings us to this point. What can we find common ground here?
Yeah.
Okay, so we pretty much laid out the story here, what happened. We laid out our opinions. We disagree on a fair amount of stuff, and some stuff we didn't through this show. However, Tucker Carlson, first of all, he's the only guy that got this information as far as I can tell. I'm not a fan of him. I don't like him or dislike him. He's just a vessel for me to get information from.
And just real quick, do you believe that that's a fair way to release information to just one journalist or one media outlet?
No.
Okay.
No, I think that's the problem I have with this whole thing is, in the end, the media gains its power from us watching and consuming their information, almost the same way our government gains its power by our division.
Right.
That being said, do I completely believe that Tucker cherry-picked bits and pieces of 40,000 pieces of video? Absolutely. The same way it was cherry-picked for 2 years. In the end, we wound up with 15, maybe 20 minutes of video through the last couple of years from the right and for the left, right? And Tucker is doing the same thing, in my opinion, that they did for 2 years on the left. There's 40,000 hours of information, but we picked out certain pieces. I completely agree that's going on, and it's for ratings and views for Fox News.
And that's one of
What
the
I'm
things we
interested in
can
is
find common ground on, is that we both believe the media, and the left has played into this as well. Don't think that I'm just, consuming everything that the left says and taking that for a fact. No, it's just videos that they released, and of course the left isn't going to release video that shows them milling around. Um, I see that as irrelevant, but it is true. It's omitted from the official record, and all you do see is the violence and the clashes with the police and things like that, which the right is doing now also as well. And it's kind of our point, is that both sides are going to try to manipulate this or present it in a way to get you riled up. But again, talk to your average American, which is why we started this show. And you guys see, you'll have common ground. Even with this topic that's so controversial, we really don't agree on the why or the how, the if. But we do both know that we're not getting the whole truth. You will not get the whole truth. You got to dig into it yourself, and not rely on these media personalities, left or right.
and the fact is, we get what they want us to see, and that's not right. And I don't know what the problem is with and why was this 40,000 hours of video held back for the last 2 years? Somebody's holding this stuff. Those cameras in that Capitol building belong to us. That video belongs to us as Americans. We pay for it, and I think we should have access to get as much information as we can and do exactly what we do. We come up with our own opinions. But here we go. The left and the right media are seeding division. And that's how they, in my opinion, that's how they gain their power. So I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah,
It's a huge
absolutely
problem.
correct.
Huge
That's the
problem.
one
And the
thing that we
cherry
can agree
picking is
on this.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
they both use it to their own advantage. One of the things I wanted to mention, I am going to include some links here. It gives you, this is raw, unedited footage from that day, and it's there's several publications. There's a YouTube channel that has the video in chronological order. This is video both taken by people there, the protesters, and by news cameras, and they're all sourced. They all have where they came from and everything. So I'm going to include that link. It's thousands of hours, literally. So I don't expect anyone to go through it. I just want full transparency. If you guys see something that the maybe to be missed or something, let us know. But I just want to show it for full transparency. The other thing I'm going to be including is the list of all of the official charges, and that's right from justice.gov. It's what each protester was charged with. And again, for a full transparency, that way you guys just see what these people were charged with, and you can make your own opinion. So I'm not including it for one side or the other. It's just kind of just out there, so you guys have access to the information. It's just easy to find there.
Make your own opinion, folks. The facts are there. Like I said last week, we're not entitled to our own facts. We are entitled to our own opinion. And you see, it's not that hard to come up with some kind of common ground. And if we all did that, I think we'd be living in a better country.
For sure.
And that's pretty much all I got to say about this, Josh. I mean, in the end, it was an outrageous part of that day was outrageous and unsettling that we would even do things like that in this country. But moving forward, let's learn from this, folks. Let's have some educated conversation and do what Josh and I are doing. Let's do that throughout the country.
Yeah.
Just get along, folks. That's all we ask.
Exactly. So.
Josh, that's all I got. You got anything else?
No, man. And we knew this episode was going to run a little bit longer than what we're trying to aim for, around 30 minutes or under. This January 6th committee, we knew we had to touch on this subject, and we knew it was going to get a little bit spicy just because of our opinions and how much we differ on them. But as you can see, we're able to have the conversation with respect. I'll see Chris on Sunday again at work. There'll be no love lost between us. And, we'll continue on to the next subject. So we want all Americans to do the same thing. You guys can talk about politics as taboo as it may seem. Come together, talk about it, talk it out, look at some evidence, look at, whatever you guys need to look at. But at the end of the day, we're all Americans. We all have to live here. We all have to get up on Monday morning, go back to work, and make this country work. So that's why we're here, and hopefully we contribute to that a little bit today.
And we're still friends after this video, right?
For
Josh?
sure, yeah, man. You're my best work buddy is Chris.
Folks, It's as simple as that, folks. I mean, we had some disagreements. Josh is going to go on his day. I'm going to go on with mine. And that's it. Everybody have a meaningful conversation. Try to get along.
Yes, sir.
We'll see you next week.
Have a good night. See you guys.